Ayun, good afternoon everyone. Isang mapayapang hapon po sa inyong lahat. And at the same time, here in Metro Manila, medyo gloomy siya. It's raining here in Metro Manila. And also, day 98 na po tayo ngayon na naka-lockdown. And at the same time, hopefully, everyone is safe right now. And also, let me remind you that kapag walang essential na gagawin, stay at home, wear our masks, wash our hands, and let's practice the new normal, which is social distancing. And mga Mars, oh my God! First time kong ma-interview ito and nakakaloka. Sobrang na-starstruck ako kanina pa sa kanya because since nag-join siya noong 2007 in Binibini, Pilipinas up until 2012, isa na siya sa pinaka hinahangaan kong beauty queen. Sino nga ba tong pinag-uusapan natin? Binibining Pilipinas International 2012, NICOLE SCHMITZ!
Thanks for having me.
Hello Mars, how are you? Kamusta ka ngayon dyan sa Australia? And at the same time, day 98 na tayo ngayon na naka-lockdown. And I know that in Australia right now, is same lang din here in Metro Manila since we nag-lockdown kami. Mars, question, within that 98 days, how was your experience in being naka-lockdown? And also if there's new skills that you acquired within 98 days?
Sure. Yeah, so it's been a challenge and a way to kind of adjust. You know, we had to work from home and everything, and we're not really used to not being able to leave the house. And I guess things that I learned is how to, you know, put my supplies all in one place and be able to use them as I need them, spend more quality time with my dad, who I live with, and my partner as well. So I think I just took advantage to do that. And actually, I started reading more. So I bought like a Kindle. Have you heard of that before, Kindle?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I use that to read ebooks and kind of, you know, like broaden my knowledge and learn something new. So I'm using this time wisely.
Thank you so much, Mars. And at the same time, how was the experience so far, the COVID experience so far back there in Australia?
Sure. It was a little bit scary at first because it's the unknown, right? And it just kind of happened all of a sudden, like from one day to the next. We had this worldwide pandemic and we didn't really know how to react. And I would say the people in Australia were a little bit panicked. You know, like they kind of didn't want to go near each other and having to stay at home. But I think we practice social distancing and good hygiene, and now we're already easing the restrictions. So we're going back to work now. We're allowed to leave the house slowly by slowly, gradual, kind of going back to the norm, but still maintaining social distancing.
Thank you so much, Fars, for sharing your experience and at the same time, the experience back there in Australia. And I have one question. I'm very curious about this.
Yes.
Kailan ka nag-start mag-join ng beauty pageant? And also, who motivates you to join beauty pageant? And also, prior to Binibini Pilipinas 2012, ano-ano na yung mga beauty pageant na nasalihan mo?
Okay. So I think the first beauty pageant I had was when I was 16, and it was actually in Cebu. So when I finished high school in Australia, I decided, I think it's time for me to try this out. I mean, actually, I went back to do some modeling, but then my handler in Cebu, Danny Buok, he was the one that kind of just threw me into a pageant because he could tell that I'm good in communication and he saw some potential. And so I joined like a SK Luok, like a street kind of beauty pageant. And I was so nervous. Like I remember the first time I had question and answer, I really don't remember what I said. It was so overwhelming, you know, it was very nerve-wracking to be in that position. And I don't even know how did I do it, but I guess I just trusted myself and like kind of went with my intuition and I kind of believed in myself deep down, and I ended up winning that. And I was lucky. It was actually a male and a female winner at the time. And then after that, I joined, I think Miss Teen Philippines, but the one in Cebu. And then I went on and I think I was first runner-up in the whole country. The national pageant for that. I think I was 17. And then I joined a couple actually. So when I went back to Australia, I won Miss Philippines Australia in 2008. So that was after the 2007, the first time I joined. And then I had a bit of a break. I went to my studies. I studied law and psychology. And then, Tita Rogil, the Kagandahang
Kagandahang Flores.
asked me to come back again. And I thought, okay, why not? YOLO, go for it. You have the potential. You should go back and try one more time.
And this is it, 2012, you joined again Binibining Pilipinas. My question is, paano ka ngayon nakapag-decide to join again Binibining Pilipinas, and it's on 2012?
Yes. So after 2007, I just wanted to have a break. Like I always told myself, study is number one, and you have to make sure you go back and finish that. So I kept my promise and I went back home, but I just kept, it was something that was in the back of my mind, and I knew I could do it, but I just wasn't sure. It's a little bit scary to go back again. You know, people are judging you, like, am I going to be able to top what I came last time? But then actually it was with my dad. So I talked to him about it, and he said, you know what, if you went back again, I'd be so proud of you. And I could tell that it's something that he wanted in his heart. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do it again. But I said to him, if we do it together, and you have to come with me and be my support. And so he did that. And I think that's I feel like we won it together.
Ang galing, very supportive si father. And at the same time, ito na Mars, 2012. If you can remember, let's go back to 2012 of Binibining Pilipinas. For you, among all the events, all the activities of Binibining Pilipinas that they gave to you, ano yung pinaka-memorable, or up until now, remember mo na very memorable na experience na to?
Sure. I mean, there was a few. So I think the fashion show was pretty fun, and the parade of beauties.
Yeah.
Interact with all the fans and feel the energy of the entire Cubao. And it was really, I remember I had so much fun. Like my mouth was hurting from smiling so much, because I was just like enjoying every single moment and connecting and looking in the eyes of everybody. But I think personally, the most memorable would be the pre-pageant. Because I just remember thinking, this is do or die. You have to perform. This is it. And I had such adrenaline in my body, and it felt so great to just kind of like let it out and just do my best. And for me, I just remember that feeling, and it was really special.
And also, if I may, 2012 batch of Binibining Pilipinas is one of the competitive batch ever in Binibining Pilipinas, because andun si Janine Togonon, you're there, Elaine K. Moll, Ali Forbes, Mary Jean Lastimosa, Katrina Demaranan is there also. Ang galing ng batch na yon. Super, super. And Mars, ito, Coronation Night. Comes Coronation Night. Take me back to Coronation Night of Binibining 2012. How was your experience so far of being in the stage of Binibining Pilipinas again? Ano yung difference niya noong first time mo mag-join and noong 2012 na?
Sure. I think the first time I joined, it was just kind of like, I just fell into it, and I just thought, oh, I'll give it a try. It was fun. But the second time I went back with a purpose. I went back with a vengeance. I said, this time I'm going to win, and I want to make it worth it. And so I was very focused. You know, I would say that was the difference. The first time I was still, I think I was 18 or 17, or I was really young. So it was kind of like, I was just kind of like, la, 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 like kind of enjoying. But the second time I was really focused. And I remember even the other pageant girls would say that to me, like, you're really focused, like you deserve it, because you really, they could tell that I really wanted it, you know? And I would say that would be the biggest difference. And what was my experience on the night, did you ask? So
yes,
yeah, great. But obviously the Q&A is like the most nerve-wracking, because for me, I had the reputation that I'm good in communicating and I'm good in answering. And I was afraid that I would buckle and embarrass myself, especially when people were expecting so much from me. And so that was the craziest moment, where all the lights were in my face, and like I just couldn't like take anything in. Like I couldn't hear people, I couldn't see, I could just see the lights, and I just, like, all my senses were overloaded. And when they asked the question, it's like I went off stage and I said to myself, I don't even know what I said. And all the girls were like, you're gonna win, you're gonna win. And I said, no, I didn't even answer. They said, your answer was so good, but I don't even know what I said till I watched YouTube.
Actually, kasi sa totoo lang, Mars, isa ka sa mga pageant queens that gave a solid answer. And up until now, nare-remember ko pa yung question and answer mo that, correct me if I'm wrong, tinanong sa'yo is, ano ang pipiliin mo? To be respected or to be loved? Diba? Ang galing nun. Super.
Thank you.
And also, Mars, ito na. Take me back to the moment na nakatayo na kayong lahat. Una-una tinawag si Ali Forbes as second runner-up, Elaine K. Moles first runner-up, and Katrina De Maranan as Binibining Pilipinas Tourism. Dalawa na lang yung pinagpipilian. And when you heard your name as Binibining Pilipinas International, ano yung thoughts sa mind mo nun, Mars? Ano yung emotion na yon na after 5 years, after 2007 up and then 2012, you get the crown already?
Yeah. Again, like, because I gave all my energy to perform. So swimsuit, evening gown, Q&A. After the Q&A, I relaxed because I said, I did everything I could. That's it. The fate is up to the judges now. I can just like kind of zone out in a sense. So when they called my name, I was just like in a daze, like, I don't know like, I'll be honest, if you watch it on YouTube, you can see my face. I'm like, what? Like, I was like, what crown did I get? I didn't even, it's so surreal because it's very overwhelming being on that stage. Like, it's very easy to kind of like, you know what I mean? Kind of get lost. And then when Diane put the crown and sash on my head, I mouthed to her, you can see it on YouTube. I said, what crown did I get? And she said, international. And I went, oh, and that's when I finally felt happy. But the moment I got emotional was when I saw my dad after the crowning. I saw him in the crowd. He was pushing through everybody to get to me. And he's like, my daughter. And then when I looked at him, I was like, that's when I started crying.
And also, Mars, ito na, kasi you won Binibining Pilipinas International 2012. And now, you are now preparing for the international stage, which is the Miss International 2012. How was the preparation so far from being in a national going to international?
I would say, obviously, it's very different. Like, the training becomes one-on-one now. So with Tito Rogel, instead of like in the group, it's just one-on-one, and you focus more on the other things like talent, because I think talent becomes more important in the international. I believe it's still voluntary, right, in the national pageant, but in international, it's like kind of a bigger deal, and it counts for more. So I remember focusing more on that. I think it's also more like autonomous. So when you're in an international pageant, it's more like you have to take responsibility for yourself and your schedule and your commitment. Whereas in the national pageant, you're with your group in the handlers and they said, come every day at this time. But in the international, it's just you. So you have to take more responsibility for yourself and push yourself and motivate yourself. And it was definitely more intense. And I had more Japanese language lessons so that I could communicate in Japan, which was fun. I loved learning the language as well, and just about the culture. And yeah, I would think learning more about how to represent Philippines. It's not representing myself in the Philippines. It's now representing Philippines. And how do I do that the best in a world arena?
Thank you so much, Mars. And also you said that you're from the KF camp, which is the Kagandahang Flores camp. And I would like to take this opportunity to say congratulations to the KF camp, because this year you are celebrating your 25th year. Amazing, amazing. Congratulations to the KF camp or the K Familia. And Mars, ito, now, you're not representing now yourself or your province, Cebu, but now you're representing the Philippines in an international arena right now. How was it, Mars?
How was it? I think it was a lot of pride, and you just feel proud of your country that you're representing them. And everybody knows about the Philippines in the pageant arena. They know what to expect. They know the girls are smart, beautiful, capable, and kind of upholding that. And just keeping in mind to represent or embody the Filipina in everything that you do. So, you know, being strong, being feminine, being helpful and supportive and genuine, and everything in everything that you do. And I feel like that's just what I tried to do in the pageant. And it was, yeah, it was nice. I was friends with everybody.
Thank you. And also, follow-up question. Kasi syempre, first time mong pumunta ng Japan and you represent us in an international way. And also, nakita mo na lahat ng mga co-candidates mo in Miss International. I'm very curious, among all the candidates or the contestants, kanino ka gandang-ganda or pretty na candidate that time?
Oh, okay. I think as far as I remember, I can't remember the exact country, but she was like 4th runner-up. Melody, she was so beautiful. I can't remember, but she was some Latina country. She was really beautiful. I think Canada was really beautiful. Who else? Poland. She had a very X factor about her in person. She was beautiful, but she also had an energy, which was really nice. Singapore was really beautiful. And also Israel. She did her makeup so well, and she had such a nice personality as well.
Thank you so much, Mars. And also, ito na, take me back to your experience in Miss International. Roughly around 2 to 3 weeks of series of activities and seminars and events that the organization gave us to you. How was the experience? And if there's any unforgettable or funny moments within that journey of yours in Miss International?
Sure. Yeah, it was very intense schedule, I would say. It was very cold at that time. I think it was winter when we were there. I felt like I was hungry a lot of the time. There was a lot of like time in between meals, and like you have to keep your energy because you're doing a lot. You're smiling all the time. You're being happy. So I remember I would always put snacks in my bag, and I would always be eating it on the bus, and I always have to like kind of like hide it because like other people weren't eating it, but I had to do that because I need to eat like all the time, like little snacks, or else I'm gonna be like deflated and kind of not have my energy. So I couldn't risk that. Probably really fun experience was there was a march through the whole, like a carnival through the city, and we all wore pink shirts, and we all had to kind of talk with all the people and kind of get to know the culture, and that was really fun. And also we got to dress up in kimonos and go around the market and try the food, and yeah, it was just a cultural experience as well as a fun and learning experience as well.
And also, Mars, question lang. Kasi syempre, 2 to 3 weeks kayo na nasa Japan and you experience the culture and the characteristics of Japanese people. Among all of that cultures and traditions and characteristics of Japanese, anong characteristics or culture nila ang fascinated ka?
Well, the thing I love about Japanese culture is they are very modern in the sense of their technology and the way that they do things, but they're still very traditional and hold by their culture and beliefs. So, you know, you have places like Tokyo where it's all lights and flashing and, you know, all the technology, but then you have Hiroshima and Kyoto with all the traditional culture. So I think I like how they have that blend, and I think that that's quite unique to them as an Asian country.
Thank you so much, Mars, for that sharing of yours. And also, 2012 Coronation Night. How was it right now, Mars, that you represent us Filipino na in Miss International stage? And kamusta ang experience mo now in Miss International Coronation Night?
So experience in both Coronation Nights?
Yes.
Okay.
Coronation Night in Miss International 12.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, just a lot of pride. I mean, there were so many Filipinos in the crowd. Like whenever I'd walk out on stage, that's the one thing I think you really have the support of your country if you're representing the Philippines, and that's really beautiful. And it really encourages you and gives you a warm feeling. Like I remember when I was on stage and I could hear all the Filipinos like screaming for me. I was like, oh my God. And it just made me, you know, encourage me to try harder. And I just think it's just a really proud moment to be able to represent the Philippines. We have so much to offer, and, having, all that knowledge and that experience behind me, and to be able to share that with the world as well through my, national costume, and even throughout my speech, the things I would say, I really took pride in being able to represent the country.
Thank you so much, Mars. And also, I'm very curious, paano ka ngayon naka-come up ng speech mo? Tell me more about your speech. Paano mo siya na-derive with that with that great speech?
Yeah. It's actually a funny story. So I had been rewriting that speech like 5 times before the coronation night, and it just didn't feel right. And so the night before, when my family came to Japan, so they arrived the night before to watch the pageant, and I got to see them, and I talked to my dad. I pulled him aside. I said, Dad, this is my speech. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. He said, look, let's write it again. So in that room we're in with all the other parents and kids, we sat there, and I wrote it on my phone. We were talking, and I just rewrote it because I feel calm when I'm with my dad. I feel like I can be myself and I can think clearly. And then I rewrote it the night before, completely new, and said it on the night. So yeah, and aside from that, I just kind of, what I based that on was like how I think the ideal Miss International should be, what a good role model and example to the community a woman should be, which, I modeled on a Filipino woman. And that's what I was able to write the speech on. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Mars. We have a technical problem, but I already hear you. And Mars, on behalf of the Filipinos, even though it's 8 years ago, thank you so much for representing not yourself, but also us Filipino. Though it's 8 years, but Mars, maraming salamat. Thank you so much.
It was an honor, and I wouldn't represent any other country. I mean, I was raised with more of that culture from my mom's side, and I feel like a Filipina, so I wouldn't have it any other way.
Thank you so much, Mars. And also, Mars, ito, madami kasing nanonood sa atin ng mga aspiring beauty queen, most especially candidates from Binibining Pilipinas who are watching right now. Mars, if ever, is there any tips or advice that you can give to our aspiring beauty queens?
Yes. So I would just say, well, like everybody else says, be yourself, relax, enjoy the moment. But I think probably one of the best pieces of advice that I received was, everybody's beautiful. In a beauty pageant, every single candidate is beautiful. When you look up on a stage, you all have your own beauty. But what makes you stand out is your energy, your X factor, and how you're able to communicate to your audience on stage. So it doesn't, I mean, of course you have to make sure your makeup looks beautiful, you're wearing a nice things, but the most important is how you're able to capture their attention and communicate your personality. And that was probably the best piece of advice that I got. And I definitely use that through all my pageant experiences.
Thank you so much, Mars, for sharing your tips and advice to our aspiring beauty queen. And at the same time, Mars, ngayon, saan ka nila mapafollow sa social media mo?
My social media? So it's NICOLE SCHMITZ and 2 underscores on Instagram. That's mainly the one that I use at the moment, but I'm going to be starting some vlogs soon. So actually, if you like to follow, that would be good. And I'll have a link on there. It's going to be based on, health and wellness, holistic health, yoga, meditation, and just tips and tricks on that, which is my passion. So hopefully you'll get to see me on there as well.
Thank you so much, Mars. And also mga Mars na nanonood sa atin, don't forget to follow our official social media, which is the Qrown Philippines in Facebook and in Instagram. And also don't forget to follow my personal account, which is Mars Franz po sa Facebook at sa Instagram. And maraming salamat sa nag-subscribe sa aking YouTube channel because we are 10,000 subscribers! Thank you, Mars. And now, Mars, what is your message to your supporters, most especially since day one up until now na nagsusupport sa'yo, and also your message sa mga frontliners natin in this time of pandemic?
Sure. So to my supporters, like, thank you so much for still being there after all this time. It's your energy and your love, which actually, inspired me to come back as well. I mean, the ultimate decision was with my dad, but just to know that all of you saw so much potential in me and wanted to see me succeed and represent you, I really appreciate that. And for you to even remember like me from 8 years ago and the things that I've done and the details of the pageant, I mean, that's absolutely amazing. And I feel the love, and I'm so grateful and thankful for that. So thank you. And in terms of the frontliners, like, honestly, what would we do without you? Your courage, your bravery, I mean, your persistence, your resilience, which I think is the number one thing from Filipinos, your resilience. And it's not safe out there. It's tough times, but you're still there. I know you're tired, but keep going. This will pass. This is not going to last forever. Nothing does. So we will get through this. We'll come out stronger than ever. Keep going, and we love you and support you.
Thank you so much, Mars. And at the same time, mga Mars, don't forget later at 8 p.m., we have another special guest, which is Miss Philippines Earth 2020, representing Zamboanga City, which is si Angelique Cabanlong. Let's get to know her more. And Mars, Nicole, on behalf of the Qrown Philippines, most especially me, Mars Franz, maraming salamat that you entertain us in this Facebook Live. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, mga Mars. And also, mga Mars, again, if walang essential na gagawin, just stay at home, wear our mask, and also wash our hands. And let's practice the social distancing as the new normal. Maraming salamat sa nanood sa ating Facebook Live ngayon. Keep safe, everyone. Bye!